Welcome back. In this video, we are going to implement redirect, right? So let's check it out. Let's create some dummy expense here with some random text and some amount. When I click on record, if I check my redux dev extension 2, you can see that it has been created, right? But we are still on the add expense page, which is not user friendly. So let's see how we are going to redirect the user. Right, so the logic is that we are always going to check. Sorry, where is my state? Let me bring it here a little bit. Yeah, cool. So we are also going to check our state. When you create expense or income, you are going to check on our state and say that, hey, on our state, do you have a property called expense created? If there is one, then we will what? We will redirect the user to whether a page we want, whether expenses list or any page that we want. So first, we are going to base on this condition. If there's expense created, then we can redirect. So where can we do that? Unless we go to our client folder, right? Our client folder, SRC, pages, expense, and where we are adding the expense. So here, we are going to base on the based on the state in our store. So before that, we need to make use of what use selector to grab a piece of state from our store. So come down here, whatever you want. So let's comment and say that get expense created from store, like that. So at this point, I believe you know how to use the use selector. So I have this. So here, the use selector takes in a callback function, and this one gives us a snapshot of our state, and you grab what you want. In our case, we want the expenses. Check it out. If what we have in our store here, our state, we have what? Expenses. This one. And inside expenses, we have expense created, right? So we're going to grab this one, expense created, loading, and up error, and server error. Cool. So here, let's create the structure and the state. So that we are going to use, we are going to grab the piece of state we want from this. So here we need what? Loading to display some error, loading, and some up error if there is one. All these ones are from our reducers, and we have server error, and the last one going to be the expense created. Okay, so these data are okay for us for what redirect. So here, we are going to check if there's a data on expenses created. Therefore, we can push the user, right? So how can we do that? Unless you make use of what? History.push. But unlucky for us. So for us, or since this add expense is a protected route, I'm going to show you one more thing about React Router DOM. Since this component is rendered by add expense, where is it? This one, you see that isn't rendered by routes here, but it's rendered by our custom function or HOC component. So we don't have access to history.push. So if you doubt, let's try to console log a prop as soon as this component gets rendered. Let's call this one props here, and then let's console log the props. Okay, so check it out. Inside here, you can see that on line number 17, where is it? 16 here, you see that we have all other history computed match, and then we have location, and there's no nothing like push here. So how can we get that? I'm going to use a hook from React Router DOM called use history. So let's bring in the use history from React Router DOM. And let's call this one, let's call it use history. So here we can get a piece of, we can get all the methods from React Router DOM from this. So we call it const, and history is equal to what? Use history. Okay, so now we are going to make use of use effect to check if there's a data on this one, therefore we can push the user. So use if let me comment here and say redirect. All right, redirect. So use effect gonna be take a callback and array, and gonna depends on expense created, right? And also depends on dispatch. Okay, that is dependencies depends on. So here inside the function body, let's check if there is expense created, right? Therefore, we can what? Push the user. So here history dot push, and it will push the user to expenses component or expenses list, like so. So check it out. What we have, we see automatically it does push us. So let's try one more time, and let's refresh. Okay, and then let's create one. Let's add some dummy here, and let's add some dummy income here. You see, it has been what? Redirect us to this page. But the problem you're facing is that as soon as I want, for example, if I want to click or create a new expense again, let's check it out. As you can see, because on our state there is a state, a data called expenses created here. So unless we refresh the application before we can click on it, because when we refresh it, that state is gone, right? So that's a caveat you're going to face. So if you want to maintain this way, for example, when as soon as the user click or create, we can refresh the whole component, right? And then we can click on new expense again. So the work away for me, I want to make it in a professional way. So the work away is that we are going to implement another logic in our action where we are creating we are dispatching the action to create. So let's go to slices here, expenses slices, right? I didn't tell you guys, you see that this file is getting behind line of code here. So you can move all the actions into each file and then call all the actions inside here, the slices. But because this application is not that big, I'm handling everything on this file. Okay, so here, how can we do that? The logic is that if you are basing on that, there's no way that state will go away unless we refresh, right? So let's find another way of doing it. So inside here, as soon as we create an expense, we want to dispatch our custom action, right? And that one, we can add additional state, additional data, additional property on our state to check it is created or not. So here, all what you can do is that let's quickly call dispatch one action. So I'm going to show you how we can create one more action, right? And you're going to use what is called create action. Okay, create sorry guys, create action. So here, how can we make use of that? So this create action, let me call this one actions for redirect. Okay, that is my custom action. So I'll call this one. So as soon as the action or the expense is what is created, I want to dispatch the action to reset this data. Okay, to reset this component, this data on the expenses. So let me show you how it's going to be done. So let me call this one export const my action. Let me call this one reset expense created. Okay, and let's go to my create action. All right, create action. So like I said, I've explained extensively this redux toolkit extensively in my playlist. So if you're not familiar with the one, so you can check that. So this create action also takes in your action type. So I'll call this one expense, and then expense or expense created reset, expense created reset. Okay, so when dispatch this action, the idea is that when we dispatch this action, we can add additional property to our state. That's all. So where can we dispatch the action? Here. So after we make the call, before we return here, we know that everything goes on well. So here, let's call this one dispatch action. So make use of dispatch. That is why now this action, this one is not useful, right? So here we can dispatch our create, let me check the action name, reset expense created, right? Reset expense created, and I'll call it as a function like that. So here on this at this point we get it that it's being what? Created. So we can go ahead to handle it inside the slices, right? So let's go scroll down here where we are handling the creating slices here, expenses here. So here it's going to be something like this. So as soon as we created it here, let's handle the reset. So let me call this one reset action here, right? So let me show you how you're going to do it, right? So after we finish creating it, and then we're going to add our own state to it. So here, builder dot add case, right? Dot add case, and this add case, we are not going to handle any fulfilled, or because this hook does not make use of HTTP calls create action, right? So when we have the redirect, where is it? Where is it? Creating it. Okay, so here we pass in the reset, and then we don't need to handle the fulfilled and success here. So let's bring in our state, our callback function, state, and then action. So the state will help us to add additional state. So here we can say state dot is expense created, is expense created is equal to true. Then when it's finished creating it, we say it's false. So after it has finished creating it, then we can update to false. Right? And that is it. And that is it, right? So we're going to use this one as expense created rather for redirect, right? So when it's created it, then it means about, so at this point, when it's created it becomes false, right? So when you're going back, it's false here, therefore we can redirect. So let's go to add expense and let's destructure that, right? So here, instead of this expense created, let's use its expense created, and its expense created here, and that is it, right? So let's check it out. Okay, so now moment of truth, some random text here and some text here, record. When I click on new expense, it works again. Yeah, good. I'm happy to see that. So let's handle the loading and then the error as well. So let's come back to the, remember we need to bring in disable button here component. So disable button here, let's save it. I want to have the auto import. So add expense, and let's bring in here disable button here, and you also need the error display component, this one, error display message component. So if there's any error, we want to display that as well. So you see how now the components are now useful to us. So we have these two components to render if there is loading or error. So let's handle the loading first. So on the button, when it's loading, we want to display the disable button, right? So it's loading, then let's call the disable button. But otherwise, let's bring in our own button here. And for the error, as you can see here, display error here. So I'm using the, so let's remove that and let's use our component. So let's check here if there is server error, okay, or there is app error. If there is one, then let's call our error display message as that, because for error display message you are passing as a children, right, but not prop. That is why I'm calling it like opening and closing. So in between here, I can now add my message, my text. So here, if there's no error, then let's say null. So in between here, we can now add our text. So server error and app error. And that is it. You are done with it. You are done with the redirect. Okay. So, and the error. Alright, so the next thing is, where can we also do the redirect? So let's also go to the add income. So the same process, right? So you can guess, now you can do copy and paste. So let's go to add expense here, where from this error. I have some error here. Or is it this one? Where from this error, if there is one. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, the closing one. Okay, so now let's work on the add income. So the same process, right? So let's go to income slices. So the same way we did for the expenses. So you can copy everything from here. So let's go to add expense action, expense slices, and then let's copy this one, action for. So here let's also work on update, right? On update to we want to. So let's copy that. So when we update, we also want to what? Dispatch that. So reset expense update, right? So let's quickly do that. So let's change this one to, it's not created but what? Update, just to have a different action type. Okay, so where do we have the update? Let's go down and dispatch the action, fetch all, update action here. So here, let's also dispatch the action and then reset, update, and then let's quickly go to where we are handling the update. This is reset, this is created, this is fetch all, and here, update. So let's copy this one, the one we did for the reset here. For the update, let's also scroll down, and before it fulfilled, let's dispatch that, and then this time around is reset update, and then here it's not updated but what is not created but it's what is updated. Okay, so in our update component for expense, we can make use of is updated. All right. Cool. So next thing is, let's work on the add income. So let's copy the action, the two of them. Let's go to the add income slices, and then let's place it here, and then let's bring in our create action like that. So not expense, but this time around is income. So let me change this one to reset income updated, and here change this one to income to have the right action type. So income. Okay, so let's handle it inside here. So first of all, when is update action, okay, first of all, fetch or create. So for the creating, so before it's sent to the client, let's dispatch this action for redirect. So dispatch, let's call this one reset income created. Okay, as that. And then let's handle this reducer called slices. So where we have handling the slices here, scroll down, this is created. So before it fulfilled, let's also add. So let's quickly go ahead and then copy this one. Sorry, the expenses slices, the one we did to make our life easier. So here, let's copy this and let's come to income slices. Here, before we dispatch this one, let's place it. This time around, it's not this action, is what? Reset income created. And the difference here is what? Is income created. As that. And for the update, okay, so let's copy this one and let's locate where we are handling the update. Here, let's place it here before it fulfilled, and this one is what? Reset inc update, and then let's say is ink updated to true, and then when it fulfilled, we say it's false. Okay. So I'm not sure we did for the created it. So let's go to created when we created it, and then when it's created, it here is what is true, but when it's fulfilled, it's false. Okay, like that. Okay, cool. So we have that. So the last thing is, let's go to where we are creating the income, right? We are creating the income, add income. Wait, where is it? So add income. So we need the same logic, right, for the use selector and other stuffs, right? So we can copy this one, and let's go to add income, expense, income, add income, and inside here we can place it here, right? And we need use selector. Okay, we need use selector. Okay, cool. You also need use effect. Here we have it. Okay, so here let's grab the state. It's not on expense. Okay, let's also bring use history, because it also depends on the history. Bring it here, and inside here let's create an instance of the history here and bring it here. Okay, I think we are good to go. Alright, so now let's try to create an income. Some random text here. Check the state. Income created it, and you can see that at first it was reset. When it reset, it was true. Income is true, but fulfilled is income created false. So we're going to base on that. So here is income created is what we need, right? So income. So here is not is expense created, but is income created. Ink created. And here on our state is income. The one we are grabbing from the store is income, but not this. And everything remains the same. So here is created is what we need to pass for based on redirect and this. And let's also work on the error messages. So we need the display error and display error component, right? So let's also bring in disable button component, auto import, and error message component also like that. So here let's display the error where I have commented it. So we can uncomment this one here and say if there is server error or app error, then let's display the error display component, and then let's inject the message one server error, and let's also add the app error. So if there is no error, then let's say no. So for the loading to the same process, let's cut everything from here, and let's say loading. It's loading. Let's add the disable button. Otherwise, let's add our own button here, and that is it. So we are done with the redirect for the loading and other stuff. So let's click. Oh, let's push the user to income list here, but expenses income list. Save it. Let's check the income. Okay. I make it incomes. It's weird, right? Okay, so let's add one more income and see it's going to redirect us some demi text and some. There we go. I cannot come back. All right, guys. So we are done with the redirect. For the login and logout, we can make use of, because when you log in, you cannot come back and log in again. So we can use the easier way, but without dispatching the action. So as you can see that our application is getting root. So in the next video, we are going to work on the redirect for login, and I can give this one to you as a challenge. All right. So we will take a few minutes to do that, and then we're going to work on the dashboard.